Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive. We're looking at some material you shared with us.
That's right. A really quite striking piece. It's titled Mayday, A Cry We Must Hear.
And it opens by painting the scene, one that kind of immediately grabs you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Air India Flight AI 171. It
Yeah.
describes it as, a seemingly routine flight.
Yeah. Calm afternoon, lifting off from Ahmedabad, heading for London. Just normal.
But that initial picture, it feels so normal, but what really makes it resonate, I think, is the detail about who was actually on board.
Exactly. The piece really emphasizes the human stories.
hmm You've got the young man finally off to his dream job.
Right. And the mother visiting her son after, what was it, 5 years apart?
Yeah, 5 years. And then there's the couple, their very first international trip together.
Oh, wow. And a young girl just returning home from visiting family.
Each seat, held a life, a whole future, all these hopes and plans. It really grounds it.
It does, but well, fascinating isn't quite the right word, maybe powerful, is how quickly that sense of routine, that future, is just shattered.
Utterly. Just minutes into the journey, the article describes the pilot's voice.
Yeah, breaking through the sort of quiet on the air traffic control frequency.
Not with a standard update, but with
Yeah.
that single, universally understood signal, that absolute dire emergency call.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
That phrase alone, it just carries such incredible weight, doesn't it?
It really does. It's the call every pilot dreads making.
And every tower controller fears hearing. And tragically, in the context of that specific flight.
Despite the call, help just couldn't reach them in time.
No. And it's from that profound tragedy, from the silence that followed, that this piece makes a really powerful pivot, a shift in focus.
Right. It argues that while that kind of airborne mayday is thankfully rare,
hmm
we are actually surrounded by cries for help every single day.
Yeah, not from a plane thousands of feet up, but from people right here on the ground,
Yeah.
often the ones closest to us, actually.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The article gives examples that feel incredibly familiar, things you might see.
Totally familiar, like the classmate who suddenly just retreats into silence, goes quiet.
Or the friend who starts pulling away, canceling plans all the time.
Yeah, or the parent who keeps insisting, I'm fine, I'm fine. But you can see they're just overwhelmed.
That neighbor whose usual friendly smile just isn't there anymore. Little things.
And it makes you think, how are these people calling Mayday? The article suggests, well, it's not over a radio frequency.
No, it's through these subtle signals.
Exactly. Through, maybe broken hearts or anxious texts that kind of hint at deeper trouble, but don't spell it out.
Withdrawing into themselves or just those quiet shifts in how they act. Things we might easily miss if we're not really looking.
If we're not paying attention. But, and this is crucial, unlike the awful finality of that flight,
Right.
the piece offers this really important distinction. These everyday cries for help, these subtle maydays, they can still be answered. There's still time.
Exactly. That's the core message, isn't it? As this article presents it, it's like a stark reminder that life itself is fragile, like that flight was.
Very fragile.
And the call to action is, well, it feels quite powerful. Don't wait for some huge catastrophe to jolt you into paying attention.
Be the one who actively looks,
Yeah.
who tries to notice these subtle signals.
Be the one willing to truly listen when you sense something might be off.
Just listen.
Yeah.
And be the one who chooses to respond. Not necessarily fix it, but respond. Acknowledge it.
So, thinking about this, what does this all really mean for you listening right now?
Well, if we kind of connect this back to the bigger idea in the piece,
Yeah.
saving a life, it doesn't always need, a runway or complex equipment or some dramatic intervention.
Right.
Sometimes, maybe often, it just needs a listening heart. That's the phrase the article uses, I think. A listening heart.
A listening heart.
Yeah. That quiet classmate, that distant friend you mentioned,
Mm.
their Mayday might just be waiting for someone, maybe you, to notice and just respond.
That's a really powerful idea to consider. This deep dive into Mayday, a cry we must hear. It certainly gives us a lot to reflect on, doesn't it?
Definitely. About the signals we might be missing in our own lives and in the lives of people around us.
Absolutely. We encourage you to keep exploring that idea. Thanks for joining us.